screws loose, they done stripped the bolts on them. Should've never sent them to pick up the work for me. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all gone.
All right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It is Sunday, February 4th. It's about 8:30 p.m. My mental clock's thrown all off with the start time. I feel like in my brain it's 10:30 or whatever, but it's 8:30 p.m. And the Celtics going to take care of business against a very depleted Grizzlies squad. They get the 131-91 win at home. Obviously, Marcus Smart's homecoming too. We're gonna get in a little bit of that later. But the story tonight: Celtics 131-91. I am your host, Dugouts. With me as always, Chuddy, King Chuddy. How you doing?
Doing all right. It was a bit of an emotional roller coaster there, but almost didn't feel like a basketball game for a little while, and then towards the end didn't feel like a basketball game again. So, like I said, emotional night, but doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's a good point for two definitely different reasons, but yeah, a lot of pomp and circumstance. We're gonna also break down the game for everybody. Before we do that, make sure whatever platform you listen to the podcast on, you've hit that subscribe, that like button, leave us a review. Do whatever you'd like on that end. Follow us on Twitter at Chuddy's Corners, the show page. Mine is at Doug_outs. His is at King Chuddy. Make sure you follow, subscribing, liking. Check out the YouTube page and also check out chuddyscorner.com. That's the site for the new show site. So we got the blogs up there, episodes up there. We have a voicemail feature. We're going to get into a little bit of that later. We got some voicemails for everybody. So before we get into the show, one last bit of housekeeping. Shout out to our sponsor, Nick Perino Real Estate. Nick Perino's all your real estate needs. He's got you covered. You can check out more information at nickperino.com. All right. So the Celtics, Tatum, obviously the big night tonight, 34 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Most of the starters were out with about 9 minutes left in the fourth. So we'll get into that too. But go ahead and tell us what happened in the game tonight. Break it down for us.
Well, of all the games that have happened in the NBA, this was certainly one of them. Grizzlies, you mentioned a depleted lineup. I'm pretty thick in the weeds, and even for me, this is a lot of guys who I can't pretend to know too much about that they're trying out there. So, really pretty incredible to even just look at their injury report and see the guys they have out there, and then the guys they have in there, and how many of them weren't even on an NBA team. Like Luke Kennard was one of the only guys actually out there tonight, and maybe David Roddy, who were on this team, I think, when the season started and expected to play actual NBA minutes. So, knowing that coming in and knowing the game we came off of, I thought we came out, I don't want to say slow, but I didn't think a ton of energy. I thought we kind of came out similar to the last game, if anything. But I can't really complain based on, I guess, what was happening on the court. You could tell it was almost like a men against boys type of situation from the get-go. We saw a lot of getting right inside. To Al running the floor and just getting in the paint, matched up against their guards and just throwing it to Al.
Into him, yeah.
And I mean, I feel like we've used this analogy on the show before, but it was true. It felt like the dad out in the driveway, posting up on his little kids for a little bit there with some of those layups he was getting. So again, I didn't think we were playing great, nothing standing out, kind of just going through the motions, but doing just enough to take care of them. Tatum was getting some stuff going, but still missing a lot of threes early. The defense, kind of similar to that. It seemed like we were almost just allowing them to drive and kind of just knowing we could physically abuse them at the rim. It seemed like we were blocking a ton of shots at the rim. We're getting our hands on stuff. So, I mean, I think we were up, 29-20 after the first quarter, and I was like, it didn't really feel like we were playing well. It just kind of felt like, again, we were just kind of coasting, whatever. I think the Marcus Smart tribute video, which we'll get into at the end of the first quarter, really did kind of create a weird mood in there where it felt like the crowd was so hyped up for that. And then, I don't know, like I said, it almost didn't even feel like a basketball game after that. It seemed like it was very hard to kind of stay focused and stay into it. It just seemed like there was an energetic letdown from the crowd to the players to really everyone. Kind of weird, kind of coasting through the second half as well. Again, you could see it, a lot of just giving it to Porzingis, easy ones. Cornette even was just absolutely dominating them on the glass, just showing off their lack of size, but nothing consistent really going. And then I think it was about 4 or 5 minutes left in the second quarter, came out of a timeout, had most of the starters back in there, and that was when the Celtics really turned it on, played 5 minutes of that true Celtics basketball we've come to see, come to love. Tatum absolutely leading the charge. He has that three going, and we've kind of talked about the Tatum, Tatum's pretty much always good, but when he has the step back and the off dribble three going, then he goes to another level and he's truly unstoppable. He certainly had it going in that stretch. He was basically taking whatever shots he wanted, hitting a ton of threes, getting to the basket, had a couple dunks, and then just setting people up left and right with the assists. If he played a full game, he probably would have easily got a triple double. Probably would have scored over 40 points. He was pretty incredible. Again, a lot of those matchups, just guys who never in a million years should probably be guarding Jayson Tatum or even probably playing in NBA games for that matter. But credit to them. I mean, as we said, really well coached. I thought the Grizzlies did a good job hanging in there, and it was only like a 2-4 point game getting near halftime. But I think Celtics went on like a 24-4 run in those last 4 or 5 minutes. A lot of Tatum, a lot of Porzingis, and suddenly we're up 70-50 going into the half. Did not really feel like a 20-point lead. It felt like almost playing back and forth for most of the game. And then that honestly was kind of that. The Grizzlies made like a tiny push in the start of the third quarter, but the Celtics starters pushed it out more, hit a few more threes. O'Shea Brissett had some nice minutes. He hit a three, had his usual energy. Queta came in. He was providing the energy. I think we got it up over 30 or so. And most of the starters I don't even think played at all in the fourth quarter. It seemed like it was just Drew. And then, that fourth quarter of that game was, again, just like not even real basketball. It was nice to see Jordan Walsh get about 8-9 minutes of run, got the first basket of his career, a dunk, which also got a nice ovation from the crowd. But again, we talked about how the last game was kind of weird because they didn't have their stars, but they at least had, a solid crew of like some NBA role players and stuff. Tonight was basically the Celtics against a G League team. So
it was good to see some of our G League guys get some minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we got some rest. We obviously had a few days of rest going into this, so I thought the guys looked fresh. I thought they came out a little slow, but overall played well, played, fine. And this is really what you want to see in the games like this, where that it's. I mean, they even said I think the press conference, can't like play down to your level or whatever, and it's tough when the level of the guys you're playing is so seemingly below you.
Yeah.
But they fought hard, and I thought the Celtics fought hard enough, did what they needed to do, showed kind of like exerted their energy in spots where they needed to, and did enough to stretch it out to be able to get some rest and a nice cushy win back in the win column at home. So did everything they needed to do, and beyond that, really not too much to take away from this one, I don't think.
Yeah, it was definitely good to see them take care of business. And like you said, up until that stretch in the second quarter, this honestly looked like it was going to be one of those real frustrating games. I definitely was feeling like it was, they cut it to like 3 or 4 points at one point there in the second. Then they really never looked back. So that was good to see them completely take care of business. I wanted guys to get a little bit of rest. You talked about people kind of coming out and playing fresh. I think one of the people that looked the most fresh from this little bit of extra time off was obviously Jayson Tatum. Everything he was doing just looked a little bit faster. Like it had a little bit more purpose. He definitely, I think, kind of took over this game and was kind of what ended up putting it away. And it was good to get kind of rewarded. Like you said, he could easily probably go on for 40 and a triple double tonight if he was out there, if they needed him out there.
Yeah.
But once it was up to like about 25, 30 points, obviously a lot of the starters came out. But what did you make of Tatum's night tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to boil it down too much to the three ball going, but again, I mean, what he shoot 6 of 12 tonight on threes. Like I said, when he has that going, he's just like on a whole nother level. I mean, he could have had the same game and shot 2 for 10 from three, and it still would have been like a good solid game. But the three is what just really takes things to the next level. But again, he had it going on all dimensions. He was getting to the hoop really well. It seems like that's been a consistent theme, especially the last like month or so since he's kind of picked it up in general, where it seems like his driving and his finishing, there's just like another level of aggression to it and force, and there's no more of kind of like going up soft. He's dunking it when he can. He's driving hard and going like getting the ball all the way to the glass. Strong finishes. So I mean, super impressive to see. And then I mean, just the passing, and especially tonight, the 2-man game. There was no Jaylen Brown in there, so it was a lot of the 2-man game with him and Porzingis, and that was just absolutely unstoppable. I mean, they had a couple of those high pick and rolls where he gave it to Porzingis, and I think Porzingis was almost like surprised by how open he was and how easy his lane to the rim was. Happened a couple other times too, and it's hard to overreact to this because, again, you look at the team they're playing, how small that Grizzlies team is, and part of it is like, okay, are we just dominating because, like I said, they were just so overmatched is some of it, I think, that helped us get going. So it's like, guys played really well, but, I mean, again, it's just hard to, like, take away anything too much. Obviously, great to see Tatum play well. Great to see that he did look like he had a little extra boost in him, and hopefully, as the schedule does ease up, these next few months, obviously got the All-Star break, some other, less heavy scheduling. So hopefully we'll see more of this, and hopefully we do see like a very well-rested Jayson Tatum, but also one who's in a nice rhythm. And tonight we got the combo where it seemed like he had plenty of juice going to the basket and in his legs. Also had the jump shot going. Was making great passes and creating. And again, it seemed like at times almost toying with him. And there were a lot of possessions in this game where I got that real kind of just like men against boys type of feel. So
Yeah, who is that? Who is that like super short guy they have?
Jacob Gilliard.
Yeah,
Gilliard.
Gilliard.
5'8".
There was a couple of times when he would get matched up either on like Tatum or someone else, and it almost felt bad in a way. But it's good to see the Celtics went out and just kind of went after those matchups. I mean, obviously, pretty much everyone on that floor is going to be a mismatch for guys like Tatum and Porzingis and stuff. But to go and kind of make sure you're finding that. Personally, I think that's just, again, we talk about kind of building good like routines and good habits and stuff like that. So even if it's like everyone on the team isn't like that great, if you're finding the guy size-wise, that's still a matchup. And you're running the offense to do that. You're just building those good habits and things like that. So Tatum, obviously, really good night. I think the other end of that, we can talk about a few of the other guys. I think Porzingis, at one point, I just didn't know why they weren't running every single play to Porzingis and having him go and try to set a pick. Just whoever Gilliard was covering, have Porzingis come up and set a screen and just get him on him, because there was a couple times that happened, and it was just it looked almost like when they had those videos that are like oh my god, this 13-year-old is like 6'5" and he's just like playing like it literally looked like that. It was Porzingis going up against him. So obviously they ended up crushing him, so it wasn't like they needed to do that more, but it was just like I did kind of want to see how high they could have gotten that lead if they were going a little bit more. Porzingis 26 points, 8 rebounds. I think they kind of stepped up the rebounding in the second half. I think that was a big part of building the lead. We let up it was like 9-2, I think. It's at one point in the second, offensive rebounds. Yeah. So we weren't really crashing the defensive board, so that all got cleaned up. What else did you see from some of the other guys? I definitely want to get into Queta too at the end of all this, so make sure we save a little bit of time for Queta too. That guy's beasting.
He was, and you're right. And I mean, we obviously in that last Lakers game, the offensive rebounds we let up were a huge part of the reason we allowed the Lakers to win that game and could never really come back. And the same thing. 9 offensive rebounds let up in the first quarter is terrible, and is probably the reason Memphis was kind of still hanging around in the game. Luckily for us, they really couldn't make any shots, so I don't think like a lot of the offensive rebounds mattered. I think they had one session where they got like 4 shots and just missed all of them. So again, like what you talked about, tonight it didn't matter, but we talk about building good habits and, not getting into bad habits. It's also been a great rebounding team all year, and I just hope, again, they're not kind of getting comfortable with that and have kind of started to gotten to the point where they realize like, oh yeah, we are a good rebounding team and it's not something they're focused on, where I feel like at the beginning of the year, we knew like, okay, I feel like the first month of the season, we were like concerned about the rebounding, and every single game was a point of emphasis. Like, okay, we got Porzingis, he's not a great rebounder. Then like it's Tatum and Brown, like the Jays, they got to get in there and rebound. White and Holiday, box out, like all that stuff. It was such a point of emphasis, and we became such a good rebounding team. And the last few games, it seems like we almost just like expect now to get the rebounds, and there's just a lot of possessions where it seems like our guys are just standing around, a lot of ball watching, and the other team is more aggressive. They're the ones actually attacking the ball. We're not boxing out. So again, it's just like lazy, bad habit stuff that we know we can get away with because we're better and more talented. But again, if the other that's something where like effort, hustle, and stuff like that will show up in the box score. Little things like offensive rebounding. And again, we cleaned it up and it didn't hurt us tonight, but that's something that definitely don't want to see become a trend, especially after it feels like we worked so hard to become like an elite rebounding team. I don't know if we still are, but we were first in the league in rebounding like not too long ago. And again, I just don't want us to think suddenly expect to be a good rebounding team and think that we don't have to like put in all that work to be that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one, what you said about just like the ball watching, ball watching, I have to just kind of, I'm immature. But on the rebounding end of it, that is something I've noticed a lot more, where they'll have like one guy, we'll have 2 or 3 people, and we're just kind of standing there. So kind of that thing you said about expectation, I feel like that's kind of been something Missoula has been kind of pushing too, like that we could have had this expectation that we're just going to go out and beat everybody because we're so talented. It did feel that way early on in this game. Obviously, it ended up not mattering, but it is something I think worth keeping an eye on, because that word I think is going to keep coming up of expectation. I think the guys kind of get a little bit more locked in. I think when you go on that stretch when it's so many games all the time and you're kind of in that focus, I think with some of these longer breaks, it's good on the one end, but I do think that you kind of got to be able to keep that focus on every game and not just know, all right, it's been like a couple days off. I feel well rested. We'll go out and just kind of wax this team
Right.
here. So,
and I mean, it's hard. It's human nature. Like,
of course.
But I'm saying,
and we have a big lead too.
Well, right, but they're human beings. They're gonna look at a team and say like, oh, we're going down to play the Heat, like in Miami. We're probably not gonna have a letdown. We're at home playing against the Memphis Hustle. It's just like a lot harder to get yourself hyped up for that game. And like, again, these guys aren't idiots. They know like, okay, we're 20-point favorites to win this game, and they don't have like any NBA players. So, that, like I said, I'm sure that stuff's all part of it. But yeah, I mean, that's just the rebounding and the offensive rebounding we're letting up is something that could, eventually be a concern if it's not something we focus on and fix. But even tonight, you could see the size advantage we had. Like we mentioned, how it started off as Al. Porzingis was abusing it. Even Luke, when he was in there, was like playing volleyball off the glass with himself. Like the amount of tip backs and stuff. And that's one thing with Luke I've noticed. I want him to just catch the rebound, land, and like plant his feet and go up strong. I'm sick of him just trying to tip back the ball. I don't think he's hit one all year. Yeah, and he'll get like possessions where he tips it 4 times. He had one possession where it was
like 3 times. Yeah,
it's like just pull it down, just plant your feet and dunk it, or like lay it in, because this tipping shit does not work for Luke.
Yeah,
he does not have that touch around him.
That's not in his
definitely juicing his rebounding numbers.
That's like the it's like the what is the Patrick Ewing at Georgetown, like, do you practice that shot? Like, why are you taking it? It's like, I mean, at this point, he does have a lot of practice attempting it, but not a lot of making it. Yeah.
But I mean, especially tonight, it's like, it's not like they have some shot blocker who's going to load up and come down if you land. Like, you can land and dunk the ball easily, like uncontested. So, again, weird matchup stuff. And there was a lot of plays, too, where it seemed like we were almost content just like letting them drive because we knew they couldn't finish over us. And it was kind of the same how it felt like that, like, dad against kids in the driveway stuff. You saw some of that on defense too, where it seemed like Porzingis was almost like just standing under the rim, daring them to be like, like, come shoot it. Like, okay. Almost playing like goalie around the rim. We had some like comical blocks, I thought too. So, again, a lot of like men against
all defensive. Good time to bring up the all defensive Chuddy bar parlay hits tonight.
Love that. Love that.
We did a little all defensive one in memory of Marcus. So it was Porzingis over 1.5 blocks, Drew Holiday 1 or more steals, and Derrick White over 0.5 blocks. So White had a huge block. White's block, that first block he had,
his block on that dunk on G.G. Jackson was unreal.
Yeah, that's crazy. That, I mean, just his size that he's up there doing that is like nuts, and not like getting himself killed.
No, that was an awesome play. And then, you mentioned Queta off the bench. Just great minutes. I feel like, again, there's a great Queta matchup because he's playing against... He's basically like a G League superstar.
Wow.
He's advanced from that, but he's actually like, usually he's playing good minutes kind of just by like outworking and out hustling everyone. Tonight he had that and was actually like fit in talent-wise.
Because I think everyone, and like I'm guilty of it too, like until you just said that, it didn't really click in my brain, but I'm like, a lot of people are like, he could be like an actual like NBA player, and it's like, well, fuck, he wasn't really playing against actual NBA players tonight when he had the game. And again, I'm not saying that he can't be. I'm a big Queta fan. I think that it's like a genuine kind of, battle between him and Cornette. It's going to be that down the stretch over who gets that kind of third big minute. But I didn't really think about that, where it's like, this might be the perfect game for him to actually really go off, because it's not exactly playing like an NBA game. But he did. I mean, you got to give him credit. He was 4 for 4. He had 8 points, 8 rebounds in 9 minutes. So obviously that's like a pretty.
And he did more of what we talked about with those other big guys that came in, and he just seemed like he was crashing hard off screens and getting putbacks or dunks off the feed every single time, and like knowing that they just did not have a single guy who could contest a shot around the basket. So he was confident going up there dunking it. It's good to see. Good stuff. Really liked it. And I mean, again, that Grizzlies lineup we talked about, I think there was a stat that like Luke Kennard was starting, and he's obviously like, played in the NBA for a while, but the other 4 starters combined had like 1,100 NBA points. And to put that in perspective, Tatum has like 1,300 like just playoff points or something by himself. So it was again just like
not the highest talent, most talented team.
But again, like they fought hard, especially until like 4 minutes left. They were kind of hanging around there.
I mean, we were giving them every reason too, like the way we kind of were starting out the game. So it wasn't. I mean, once we buried them, then it's kind of like
Sure.
But yeah, no. To give them credit for that first like quarter and 3 quarters, because it looked like it was going to be one of those brutal letdown games, and that would have been, we'd have had a new loss of the year. This was again,
God, definitely. Yeah. But I think it's a credit to their coach and like their culture in Memphis, because you see a lot of teams where it's like if they were trotting out their all bench, it would just look like, open gym and just guys taking their turns coming down,
but they
chucking
were
up some
sort of
gross
playing
shots. The
like how they
Grizzlies were
normally
playing
would.
like good basketball. They just didn't have players good enough to hang around, but like they're playing the right way, and you can see kind of why they are able to like hang in some of these games still with this absolute skeleton crew of players. So Taylor Jenkins, hell of a coach. He won't win Coach of the Year, but like he
It's
probably
impressive
like
still,
should be getting some attention for how not terrible that team is.
Yeah. All right. Well, that so that kind of wraps up a pretty one-sided game. Celtics again, 131-91. Tatum 34 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Porzingis 26 points, 8 rebounds. Derrick White had 15 points. Horford had 11 and 5. And again, we mentioned Queta, the 8 points, 8 rebounds in 9 minutes. Jordan Walsh, we should probably just mention at least 2. Jordan Walsh got in there, got his first points. It was a pretty good dunk that he had. Is he just, and this can just be real quick because he's going to keep going back and forth. But one, I think that Banton is still like icing him out when they're on the court. I feel like there's so many times where he could have passed it to him, and Banton tried to do his own sort of thing. I think he's worried about that little, little bit of power structure thing there. But it's a theory, and it's keep an eye out for it. Next time he's out there, just keep an eye out for it. That's all I ask. If anyone out there in the Chuddyverse, just keep an eye out for it. If I'm crazy, tell me I'm crazy. I'm not married to the take, but I'm seeing a little something there.
Interesting. I'll have to watch more closely for that. If we get some more Walsh minutes coming up.
But it's good to see. And we mentioned this bit of a lighter part of the schedule now. I wonder if he'll get more opportunities. I don't know. Did they take him away from Maine because there was 2 guys have been suspended recently from the Maine Celtics? So I don't know if there's like an epidemic of misbehavior. They're trying to get him away from it. What did you think? Just real quick on Walsh tonight, and what if anything it could mean for the season moving forward, if he has any role moving forward.
I mean, I think it's just keep getting him reps, like whenever there's a chance to, like tonight, like all NBA reps are good for him. All reps are good, I think, and they know that, hopefully some of these games there will be some opportunity for him to play, so to speak. We obviously had Jaylen Brown sitting out tonight, so I don't, when guys are out, they're going to bring guys from Maine, especially at home games when they're that close. Like they always want to have them there. Extra guys, just you never know. So he's going to be going back and forth a ton, but yeah, I think the more you get him to play, the better. The more he just gets comfortable out there, and yeah, it's probably not going to be this year for us, but like you could definitely see the flashes out there, especially like on defense and doing the little things. The scoring is usually going to be the last thing to come, but you see him hustling around out there. He looks like he belongs. Like he's got the size, he's got the athleticism. He looks, pretty big and smooth out there, making some nice plays. It was a nice dunk, obviously. So I mean, again, we've said, once he gets to the point where he's comfortable defensively and he's helping us on the defensive end and can basically not hurt us on the offensive end, that's where I think, he could have a chance to take over at least like that O'Shea Brissett role. And if he could settle into like a 10th man, earn himself a little more minutes, keep getting better, develop into a reliable guy who can hit open corner threes, then, there's a guy who could be in our rotation maybe as soon as next year, I think.
All right. So, yeah, that's that. We'll get into, obviously, the other story of the night. Marcus Smart making his return to the Garden after the trade. Obviously not in uniform, but they're physically and emotionally for sure. I just, I think we don't need to get into like the trade and all that. We've done that plenty of times on the show. It was nice. I thought that it's like, I think there's a lot of people that were kind of crawling out. People who didn't like Marcus anyway for whatever reason when he wasn't here. Or just didn't like how much fans liked him. I think is like the big part of it. They just don't like how much the fans like him, but kind of coming out. But when you watch that the tribute and kind
coming
of
out today,
yeah,
what?
Yeah, it was out there.
I didn't see a single anti-Smart comment.
We had check the Chuddy Corner replies. Check the Chuddy Corner Twitter replies. Some real sickos out there. I mean,
I didn't see anyone on. I didn't see a single, even the Smart hater. I thought, I don't know, people who weren't even as big on Smart. I thought it was.
This was all pre-game. Maybe once they saw,
across the board.
Because what I was just gonna say was once you see the way everyone was acting and how it felt, it's like I don't know how you could have any negative thing to say.
I didn't see any negativity. I didn't
check the Chuddy Corner replies. I'm not making it up. There's some sickos out there.
Jesus, that is some sick shit. That day of all days. Wow.
But yeah, I thought it was obviously a really nice tribute. I thought that it was cool they gave him the Heroes Among Us thing too. I do think that would have been very awkward if he was in uniform and he got the Heroes Among Us.
I'm sure they wouldn't have done it. Well, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I was thinking too going in. It was kind of like a bummer, obviously, that he was hurt in his one game in the Garden, like he wouldn't get to play. But actually, it almost kind of was better this way. I feel like.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
like didn't have to like root against him or anything on the court. It just was like a nice, comfortable win. It felt like he wasn't. It almost felt like he was just like returning as like a retired player, like a
Yeah.
fan. Like he was just there and had no like vitriol in any way. There was like never any threat of him like doing something to hurt us and like winning the game,
drawing an offensive foul to win the game.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is that makes it kind of cool to that point is so he got to come back today, get his flowers and stuff, and I think almost like I think he would appreciate too. Like the next time that he comes back, it is as like an opponent. You know, like he'll come back on if he's still on the Grizzlies. It'll be next year, and this team, this Grizzlies team, as bad as they are now, like that's like a good team.
Yeah.
That team was supposed to be a good team this year. It's not like we
you look
traded
at their
them out
injury
to Narnia.
report.
Yeah, exactly.
They're good.
It's not like we just shipped them out to like Serbia to play.
Yeah,
They're not Serbia. I shouldn't say that. That's where Jokic is from. What am I thinking? Siberia is where I'm thinking. Where there's like nobody, like anything.
Not as much of a basketball.
He got sent out. Yeah, he got sent out to like a pretty good situation. They just had an awful luck. So next time he comes back, I think it'll be kind of cool because now he kind of can come back as like the competitor against us, which is what he is at heart. You know, like he can come out and maybe have some of those plays where it won't feel like so much like, oh no, like like I'm kind of excited to like face him next time he comes here. And he got his opportunity to get his flowers now, but
yeah. No, I thought this all worked out. It worked out well, I think, for all parties involved for sure. And I think the Grizzlies team will definitely be good next year. I think they would have been good this year if they were healthy. But yeah, it'll be fun to see them get a fresh chance. They could probably add a lottery pick. It might actually work out well. Give them a year to kind of prep and practice. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I thought the tribute tonight was just perfect. The video was awesome. Wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was great to see him get that ovation. Thank you, Marcus chants. We want Marcus. We love you, Marcus. All those chants. Lots of signs, lots of 36 jerseys. So it's just very fitting. You could see on the court how much it meant to him and how much he appreciated it. And like I said, really just from every fan to every player, like you could just see the love. And I think it is pretty rare in this day and age for a guy to get drafted and play, 9 seasons with one team. Might not feel like that long, but in today's NBA, 9 seasons with one team is pretty damn long time. So again, I mean, I felt like it was obviously you didn't know really what to expect, but I thought it really was kind of like a perfect moment, and glad it happened again in just like a giant blowout of a game where he wasn't even playing. So we really he got to kind of have his night, got to get all that appreciation out of the way, and got to got shown the love from Boston that he absolutely deserved. And with the way that he kind of got traded so abruptly in the offseason, we hadn't really had like that chance to show him that love and give him those flowers. So really happy for him to get that. And like you said, I thought the whole moment and everything about it was just handled really well by everyone involved. So tip of the cap to everyone on that one.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I think that it's just like appropriate. I know that it sounds crazy, but he was here for 9 years. We made the playoffs, every single year that he was here, right?
Yeah.
From the first year. So
years.
like if you weren't around, like if you weren't like closely following during like the Chris Humphreys and like Marshawn Brooks like seasons like that, what he brought in, like how quickly things changed. Like he was kind of like that turning point. And he was never the best player on the team or anything like that. But like from that moment that he arrived, like onward, like what he brought just changed everything. Exactly. We talked about like culture changing. Celtics were in a real fucking weird place. Like we still had like Rondo was like still on the team, but like also like
it should have been
Jared
a long
Sullinger.
rebuild.
Like it was bizarre time.
It should have been a very long rebuild with the roster we had. He came right in and, again, just set the culture of, like, we are just going to outwork every team and be dogs, and they were. And to make the playoffs, I mean, that first year was crazy enough, and then to just be basically consistently good after that. I mean, in 9 years, they made the conference finals 5 times, which is obviously absolutely nuts. And that was kind of what everyone was saying, tonight is, like, he's gone, but his impact he left on this team and on the players who are still here is, like, they wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't have gotten all that playoff experience without him there, and like Tatum and Brown probably wouldn't be the leaders and like the dogs that they are today without him. So it's like, again, he just left such a lasting imprint and made his mark on the team and the city. So it was just good to see him appreciated in that sense, I thought.
Yeah, exactly. If you know when it comes to Marcus.
Definitely.
So yeah, that was awesome. I do want to get to our next segment. We're gonna dive into our voicemail box. So this is kind of a new thing we have. Anyone who hasn't yet checked it out, make sure you're going to chuddyscorner.com. You can check out blogs. The power rankings will be out tomorrow. We'll have the new power rankings, Chuddy's new power rankings for the NBA. You had a pretty good all-star game or all-star roster breakdowns. There's a couple good articles on there. Every episode you can find on there, but you can also find, if you look at the little microphone icon that's on the screen, you can send us a voicemail. So we got a couple voicemails. I know you and Nick did one the other day. We have a couple that have just kind of been not necessarily game-specific ones, but they've kind of been sitting in there. So we're just going to play some of these for you guys. The first one we have is from our old friend Himothy, one of the people that was talking about negatively about Marcus. So it's crazy I'm even going to allow his thing to be played here. He was tweeting all a while, but
Wow.
he made a little, sounds like I don't know. Well, I'll just play it and we can figure out what it is afterwards. It's a song, though. It's a nice little song he made.
Sounds good.
Was a little too tall, could've used a few pounds. Kobe's purple wristband hollering out. He was a light-skinned beauty with the son who drinks soda at midnight. And Jalen said, son, put them heels up high. Out past the Fellsways where the woods got heavy. Out in the back seat of Dugout's his '06 Chevy.
Oh, wow.
Working on the sphincter without any lube.
Okay.
Ain't it funny how the ball doesn't move? Trying to make the front page of the Daily News. Tatum spitting out a white poo.
Oh, boy. All right.
Wow.
So yeah, it sounds almost maybe a bit of a love ballad, a Tatum and Brown love ballad.
Yeah. Okay. Good for.
We love the creativity of our fans.
Our fans are very creative, very talented.
Yeah.
I think he might have an unhealthy type of love for Tatum and Brown. I think we all love Tatum and Brown. Timothy seems to love them on a different level. Absolutely not. Like I said, we love all of our fans, no matter what type of fantasies they may have about the players in the Celtics. So
yeah,
happy for Himothy, and very talented musician. I hope that this won't be the last song he sends in. And we have been talking about some unique podcast specific jingles, intro, outro, this, that, whatever. So Himothy and any other musical fans out there, if you'd like to whip up something for Chuddy's Corner and send it in, we'd be happy to listen, give it a chance, probably get it played on the air, and you never know, might even become a part of the show. So like I said, thanks for the call. We appreciate it, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's our first voicemail. The second one we have here. This is obviously someone who's been to the Chuddy'sCorner.com website as a suggestion, and now we do have an answer for that person too. So this is Biff from Wakefield. Biff from Wakefield.
Where the frick is the comment section on the website? You guys used to have blogs and you could comment. Pop off. You guys got to get that back.
All right, Biff, I have good news for you. I'm pretty sure, according to Nick, we have enabled comments on the blogs on the website. That was definitely an oversight, not an intentional move by us switching over to Chuddy'sCorner.com. Me and you, as soon as we found out there wasn't a comment section, we kind of got on them right away that we got to figure that out. So you might have to make like a username for the website, but feel free to go ahead and do that and get that comment section going on any blog. We love that idea.
Yeah, and I think you can log in through your social media too. So if you're logged into Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, you can just comment right away. Otherwise, I think you could just put in any name, leave a comment like that. It should be fine. But again, if you're a fan of the Chuddyverse out there, let this be a lesson to you. Send us in a voicemail, and in almost no time, we listened to our fans, we reacted, and now the comment section is there. So it just goes to show that don't sit idle, because you don't want to be inactive. Get out there, engage with us, and your voice will be heard. The proof is in the pudding right there.
Yeah, speak it into existence. So Biff from Wakefield, we're looking forward to hearing from you in the comments section.
Yeah,
I want comment section rivalries. I want all the fun stuff on there.
Definitely.
So yeah, comment section will be a good time. Looking forward to that. I'll definitely at least have a few burners where I kind of tweak around there. Defending the fort and whatnot. And our last voicemail, this one I just have labeled as unknown stranger.
Okay.
Not sure, did not leave a name, and did not really leave much of a take, but we're going to play them anyway because we want to show you. You send us in their info, we're going to hear what you have to say. So this is unknown stranger.
Bullshit sucks, Tita. What happened? I'm laughing. You see that for the finals. You see it, Al?
All right, so a little bit of context on that one. That was sent to us after the Lakers game. So it was sounded like someone possibly gloating. I think maybe I'll play it one more time because I feel like I could make out a few things there. Something about the finals at the end. But we're going to play this one more time.
Bullshit sucks, Tita. What happened? I'm laughing. You see that for the finals. You see it, Al?
So it sounds like something like what happened. It sounds like almost like they said Boston sucks at first, but then it sounds like they say like I don't even know what at. So I don't know. What's your take on this unknown stranger, Ben?
I mean, if this is a fan and a Celtics fan, then I think that's, a great call, and I really agree wholeheartedly with everything they're saying. If this is a hater and a Lakers fan, then I would say that, that sounds like what we come to expect in terms of like cognitive ability for a Lakers fan. So fits right in there. So yeah, hard to really tell, but I think that's kind of sums up how we were all feeling after that Lakers game. So
yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. It's exactly how I was feeling after the Lakers game. So that's what we got now. There's 3 voicemails on there. We just emptied the clip on it. So we want more. Go ahead. Remember, go to chuddyscorner.com. And go ahead and leave us a voicemail, and we're going to get those back on the show. It's a great way to get in touch with us, great way to get your takes answered. We're going to make suggestions on the show. If you have even just some regular life questions, if you ever want the advice of such wise counsel as ourselves, we're more than happy to offer you that as well. It's cheaper than a therapist. chuddyscorner.com. Make sure you're checking it out. Check out the comment section. Leave us a voicemail. So that's our voicemail segment. We're going to move to Around the NBA now. A big story broke in the middle of the Celtics game. I'm sure you're going to get to that. But why don't you go ahead and give us our Around the NBA breakdown?
Yeah, lots of stuff going on around the NBA. Let's start off with Cryptic LeBron, one of the best entertainers around. I think last time we talked about how he had started cryptic mode by tweeting out the hourglass ticking away symbol at one point. Then we talked about how his name had gotten mentioned in trade rumors by a semi-reliable source. That was kind of interesting. Then I think Windforest reached out to Rich Paul, who immediately shot that down and said he definitely would not get traded. LeBron then followed that up by being asked about his player option and if he'll be in LA this year, and saying there's just no way to know, which is just a great answer. It's a great answer to that. No possible way one could know what will happen.
Possible to
and
know.
Then tweeting out the other night something with like the Statue of Liberty and the Big Apple emoji as they were playing New York. So just classic cryptic LeBron, just kind of putting out feelers, testing the waters, this and that. And then they had another nice win in New York. So a couple of wins, couple fool's gold wins right before the trade deadline might be enough to convince them to stand pat and ride this out as a 9 or 10 seed. But honestly, I don't think there's a trade out there even that can vault them.
I did see some report too, and this was like a little bit before the Big Apple tweet that he said like something where it was like whoever Rich Paul and Clutch Sports have like quote like buried the hatchet with the New York Knicks, and I was just like, what the hell? That's a little strange. Like, it's like what was like Rich Paul just like not letting any of his players sign like to the Knicks? This was like an actual
Leon Rose and the Knicks. No, they had a huge beef. It was like a CAA versus Clutch thing almost. Because Leon Rose was like the CAA side, so they haven't had much of a working relationship. And yes, the timing is definitely a little bit interesting, at least, if nothing else. So, all of this is probably nothing, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah, no, I mean, what's his name? Podringer?
Jeez, what was his name? Dave. No,
all right, keep going. I'll look it up.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's something Pod.
Something. Yeah, it's something like that. But
Podrick.
Anyway, we also had, since the Bucks with their win the other night clinched the 2 seed in the East, which means that Doc Rivers will be named the All-Star coach for the Eastern Conference.
How does that work? Why is he? Can't be.
Missoula's ineligible because he coached last year, so it's usually the first place team's coach, but it can't be the same team 2 times in a row. Yeah. So it automatically just goes down to next in the standings, which is the Bucks.
Okay.
Who coaches now Doc Rivers. So the 1 win, Doc Rivers named All-Star coach. I don't know, like this is just kind of a funny circumstance and rule. Can't even really make fun of Doc. Like I don't know what he's supposed to do.
No, I think that he had a pretty good like response to it too. He was like, "This is crazy." Like I know this is crazy. I think he said he's even gonna whatever bonus he gets, he's gonna send it to the other guy.
Yeah, but I'm more which like whatever. But it's more just interesting for the actual game because I'm sure like Doc's not gonna go coach the game. I'm sure Adrian Griffin's not gonna come back and coach the game. So maybe they just pass it down to the 3rd seed, whether it's the Cavs or the Knicks, and let their coaching staff go. But I don't know.
That'd be so funny if it was Tibbs. Oh my god, he just like he just like did like a regular rotation, like didn't like.
Yeah.
I need it to be Tibbs now.
It can't be. I don't think. I'm sure Tibbs has coached the All-Star game before because the Bulls were the 1 seed back in the
Yeah.
day, so he probably has. But I don't know. Either way, it's just a funny circumstance to add. It's like there's a funny news story surrounding this Doc situation every single day. So
Yeah.
definitely enjoying
Also, before you do the next thing, it's David Pingalore. So not
Pingalore,
Pod.
that's
Nothing to do
okay.
with Pod.
No, throwing me for a
David
loop.
Pingalore of KTLA
Pingalore.
sports anchor. Shout out David Pingalore. Open invite. We're waiting to hear back if he wants to join the show.
Oh, phew. Okay.
David Pingalore.
David Pingalore. All right, much better. Couple other little nuggets going on. Zach LaVine is now out for the year with surgery. So story of this guy's career. Frankly, he just cannot stay healthy. He's heading towards like Lonzo Ball status of you just can't even like have him on a team. It's ridiculous. I mean,
that injury happened like a day after they talked about trading him to the Pistons, though. Do you think anything to that? Is there anything to make of that?
He's been injured for. He hasn't.
Well, yeah,
played in
but now
weeks.
suddenly the might go to the Pistons. Is like, well, no, I'm out for the season. Actually,
I think it's just as much that he just realized there was no market for him whatsoever. But I mean, and again, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy for 8 years now. He has chronic knee issues, and that contract is bad. Might be the worst in the league, honestly. So it'll be interesting. They should have sold when they had a chance. Now they're probably gonna have to pay to get off of him if they can at all. So rough to see. Touching back to, we talked about Marcus Smart obviously a little bit, and we had mentioned whether or not he would be a Grizzly next year. It did come out. I think it was Jake Fisher from Yahoo who reported that they're basically saying no to all offers, and they want to keep Smart and view him as part of the core, which I think is good because, they made a pretty big trade to go out and acquire him, and they really, just because of all the crazy injury and suspension, have just never gotten a chance to see what the team would actually look like that they wanted to put together. So to just sell on that completely, to me, would make no sense. I mean, they've made a few other trades, but why not get your whole team healthy, run it back next year? You'll have probably a top 10 pick again.
Yeah,
some cap flexibility now after trading Steven Adams.
That would be a really good team. I think Marcus is like exactly like. I mean, they obviously got rid of Steven Adams now, but like that just could be a bruising sort of team. Like I thought that was crazy that people have been talking about that Marcus might get traded from that. I don't think that they made that move to just move on from him. I think he was part of their plan. And it sounds like that
I would hope not, but it was definitely good to hear because I like him. I think the Grizzlies are a nice, safe team for him to be on, where we don't have to worry too much about him to root against him or hurt us. And if he got traded, all the teams that were asking for him were, the Bucks, the Lakers, the Heat, the Sixers. Would have been pretty. So
keep him there.
Yes. Moving on, got to take a little moment to do a victory lap for Chudstradamus hitting the nail on the head as last night. The Warriors lost to the Hawks 141-134, and Steph Curry ended with 60 points. So another player to score 60 points in a losing effort, the third time this season. And you asked me almost 1 week ago on this show if I thought it would happen again and who I thought might be able to do it. Yes. And I did say Steph Curry was the answer, and you kind of saw exactly. It basically came to fruition where Steph had it going. He was single-handedly keeping his team in the game, hitting every shot. I think he had 20 in the fourth quarter alone, forced overtime, and they just couldn't get it done. The Hawks won, but Steph scored 60 points. So again, 3 players now this season have scored 60 or more points and lost the game. Is nuts. And yeah, I don't know. I should probably have had a prediction ready for who would be the next guy, but I don't know. Gotta work on that.
Okay, so I was going to say, I'll buy you a little bit of time, so I'm going to ask you who's the next guy who's going to score 60 in a loss. But I will say, it was super impressive the way that you did. Like, you nailed that completely. But it also means that if there's any option now to take Giannis as the next guy to score 60 points, you want to get on it, because that was your other side of it. Win, you thought it could be Giannis. So
right, and he did have 48 last night too. Giannis.
Oh my gosh! Imagine that would have been
the same night.
Crazy.
That would have been no.
Yeah, that would have been nuts. But yeah, I mean, people definitely want to know who you think the next guy in a loss is going to be.
It's a tough call.
I have one.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Trae Young. I could see it being Trae Young.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say Trae Young. He's been playing pretty well. I don't know. That's a lot of points, but yeah, it's got to be. You would think.
Or you're just giving it a push. It's just not going to happen again this year. You can do that. There's your out card.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I want to push my luck. Maybe I'll come back next episode if I look into it a little more. But I'm gonna at least take one show to. I'm calling rest of my laurels.
I just want to get it as a good clickable thing. Trey Curry will score the next 60-point game in a loss. Trey Curry. Nope, that's not the one we're going to clip. Trae Young will score 60 points in a loss by the end of the season. Book it. All right.
Love it.
We'll cut out that other part. No, that was impressive, though. That was cool. That was really cool, actually.
Yeah, we're happy about that. We like getting those things right. Hopefully some Chuddy heads out there somehow were able to make some money off the prognostications, but
Yeah.
I don't know. And then just our last piece of news, as you alluded to, I don't know if I can call it breaking news, because it feels like this has just been a developing story for, it feels like it's been 3-4 days at this point, but we got more news on Embiid that he will be, I don't even know how to say the news because the wording is so absurd. I don't think I've ever seen a tweet this ridiculously worded, so I'm just going to read verbatim what Woj said.
Yep.
In regards to Joel Embiid, he said the reigning MVP will undergo a procedure this week to repair a left meniscus injury. A team official tells ESPN a recovery timeline is expected after the procedure, but expectation is that he will miss an extended period of time. Again, whatever that means exactly. Shams chimed in. He said Embiid will have a corrective procedure this week to address an injury to the lateral meniscus in his left knee. Will address a displaced flap of the meniscus, and he will be sidelined for an extended period of time. So it's a lot of words to basically say he's going to get surgery for a torn meniscus. I'm expecting he will be out for the season. I'm pretty sure it was like rest and rehab or repair. And most of what I saw online from doctors was repair is surgery, and that usually requires like 4 to 6 months off. So again, if the timeline's not announced as anything shorter, it leads you to believe, like we said the other day when they said they wanted more options. You don't usually get more options if the first option says something you want to hear.
Yep.
So again, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think probably the next step of this is that he's going to be out for the season or at least close to it. I can't imagine he's going to come back at, not fully recovered for a playoff push, especially as, this team without him could easily, they could fall into the play-in, honestly. So, brutal for Philly fans, brutal for Embiid. Yeah, it just sucks. It really, I hate to see it. One of the best, if not the best player in the world, having probably his best season. And it just ends in the fashion that it seems like almost all of his seasons end in, to some extent or another. So I guess if you're looking for any silver lining, if you're a Sixers fan, maybe it feels like every year he's just battling through injuries, and it's always like stuff that's lingering and stuff that he probably should repair, but it's just has to feel like he has to battle through it. So maybe this will almost be a blessing in disguise where it's like, okay, we know we're out for the year. You don't have to rush back, take full time, take the rest of the season, take the off season, even, come back late next year. Who cares? It doesn't matter, but actually come back fully healthy, hopefully with the knee repaired, not having to miss games with soreness every other week, swelling, whatever's going on. So, and now Philly fans don't have to put all of the pressure of the world on this one season and this trade deadline. They can actually take some time, try to build up the team, keep on improving Maxey and some other guys, and then hopefully they can come back and you get a truly 100% Joel Embiid, if that's even a thing that exists and is a possibility on this world, which at this point, I'm not sure it is. So it just sucks, but that's, 7'2", 7'3", absolute giant. Human bodies just aren't made to kind of do what Joel Embiid does. And, based on the way it was looking when he came out of college and sitting out his first 2 years in the NBA, it's probably a borderline miracle of science that he's had this good and productive of a career already. So, it might be sad to put it that way, but it's a sad story. It sucks for basketball fans.
It definitely, it definitely just sucks. Obviously, how we Celtics fans feel about Philly and Philly fans, but this does suck.
Not like this.
Not like this. Yeah, exactly. It sucks. I do hope that he has a speedy recovery. I do hope that he can come back and play well. The team looked really good, at least early on this year. They looked like, they're a little bit different than the Sixers teams we've seen before. But I do just want to kind of just mention too, there's a lot of people the Philly fan company line has sort of became that it's everyone else's fault that he's hurt because he got bullied basically into playing because he skipped the Jokic game in Denver, and then missed that next game and shouldn't even have been out there to play. First of all, that's just a hilarious premise that people are saying that it's Twitter is bullying the Sixers medical staff or Embiid. If that is the case, that's just a hilarious factor in itself.
Well, the Sixers did leak that to a reporter.
That he felt like he was being bullied. What the
that
fuck?
part of the
That's
that he
so
pushed
silly.
to play in the Golden State game because of the negative attention he was
He
getting.
was in the clear, though. He did the double bag out. Like, he was in the clear. Like, if he came back after the Denver game, that's one thing. But when you call out that second time, people, that's the rule. That's the rule of the double bag out. If they call it that second time, you can no longer assume that they're just bagging out just to bag out. Like, you have to respect their privacy. HIPAA and everything comes into play. Like, you can't ask any more questions. So, if you're gonna do the double bag out, you got to at least know the rules that you're in the clear once you do that second one. So, but yeah, no, that it sucks, but I don't think that it's like Twitter's fault that he was out there playing. So,
I think it's well, I mean, even if that was an actual factor, that's still not their fault. Like, the way this was handled, from the Sixers front office to their medical staff to Embiid, like, everyone deserves some of the blame for this, and the whole, like, again, it just sucks, but if there's any question of his health, he 100% should not be playing. Like, there's no way he should be playing. But again, he's been missing games with knee swelling all year, and you've got guys saying that, like, oh, the meniscus was already torn, like, the Kuminga play just made them, like, look at it. So it's like, well, if that's the case, then why wasn't he even on the injury report for the Denver game? So it's just like going back and looking at the last 2 weeks of basically,
and if you knew that's happened, what are you doing having him out there?
Exactly. So it's like, no matter what happened, like, this couldn't have been handled worse by like anyone involved with the Sixers. So, like I said, obviously don't want it to end the way it clearly has, but this whole thing has just been an absolute disaster, and they couldn't have handled it much worse. And maybe he gets hurt and is hurt either way and whatever, but the way they went about it has just made it look 10 times worse from the outside.
Yeah. All right. Is that all you got for around the NBA? All right.
That is.
So, great segment. Good job. So next up on Wednesday, so it's got another 2-day layover. Next up we have the Hawks. Trae Young. Will Trae Young score 60 points in a loss?
I hope not. Well, I mean, I hope they lose, but I'd like to not let him score 60 points.
Yeah.
But
what do you see?
No, I mean, it should be a good game. The Hawks have won, I think, 4, maybe even 5 in a row after last night. They're playing as well as they have all year. The Hawks are a team that I was fairly high on coming into the season. I actually thought with a full off season under Quinn Snyder, he could come in there, get them to play some defense. I liked some of the guys they had brought in. I thought he could make the Trae Young, DeJounte Murray combo work. They were one of the most disappointing teams, I thought, the first few months of the season, but they've righted the ship, I guess, at least a little bit. Luckily for them, the East drops off pretty quickly, so they're still right in that play-in game situation. They're 4 games, I think, out of 6. So with the almost half the season left, it's not completely crazy that they could go on a run, get out of the play-in. Obviously, you've got some teams ahead of them, like Philly, now banged up, so there could be some droppers. It's an opportunity. And DeJounte Murray, once the trade rumors around him started picking up, he's really picked his game up. He's been playing really well lately. He had a couple of game-winning shots. He was really the best player on the court last night in overtime against the Warriors. He closed that win out for the Hawks. Young has been great, and he seems like now he's got that kind of all-star snub motivation on his chip on his shoulder too. So they've been playing well, and it seems like they kind of might actually not blow this team up, which a few weeks ago I would have said was absolutely crazy, but now it seems like they, I guess, aren't liking the deals they're getting from Murray. He's still under contract, and a pretty good contract. I think they're saying, hey, let's give this a little more chance. We've liked some things we've seen lately. So, again, a team the Celtics should be able to beat, but a team that's been playing well lately, and if they continue that, I think they could certainly give us a pretty good game. We saw them last year, obviously, in the playoffs, so we know that when they get hot, they've got some guys who can fill it up between Young, Murray, obviously Bogdanovic, and then they've got some size with Capella and Okongwu down low, some decent wing players. Jalen Johnson, who's gotten healthy, the second-year player out of Duke, has quietly been like their second or third player. He kind of does everything for them down low, inside and outside, that allows Young to kind of skate by and play the way he does. So he's been like a sneaky glue guy who really affects the way they're winning, and a lot of their slow start came when he was out. So they've been a lot better since he returned to the lineup. So solid team. I'm excited to watch us play him.
Yeah, should be a good game. I will be in the Garden for that game.
Okay.
Yeah. Media passes.
Naturally, good. Right on press row. Look for dugouts of that shiny bald head on press row.
Anyone that's going to be anyone's going to be at the game there on Wednesday, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at Chuddy's Corner, or myself at Doug_outs. I'm excited
live
for
tweeting
that
from
one.
inside the Garden.
I got to figure that out, because I feel like a lot of times when I'm at the Garden, like I don't get like service, like the stuff just like doesn't send. I don't know. Okay. Maybe they've updated that, but I do. My plan is to just do maybe some kind of like video recaps and stuff between the quarters or whatever. So whether those I get to post those in real time or whether those just become sort of fodder for the Twitter page later on in the night. I'll maybe do a little bit of a man in the street thing afterwards. We'll see. There's a lot of options. I'm excited.
Love that.
First game,
Love that. Yeah.
First game as the host of Chuddy's Corner. So definitely going to be a good learning experience. But very excited about that. And I think the Hawks will be an exciting enough game too. So yeah, that about wraps us up for tonight. Just a little bit around 9:30 again. My mental clock is like so. I feel like it's like almost midnight because the game tonight started at about an hour and a half earlier than they normally start. But yeah, the Celtics. This is a good one. Celtics 131-91. Marcus returns to Boston. A lot of pomp and circumstance, but the Celtics eventually end up taking care of business. So we will see everyone back here Wednesday night after the Celtics-Hawks game, and we look forward to seeing you all then. Chuddy, have a good rest of your night, all right? Oh, wait. Also, make sure you check out chuddyscorner.com. Got to always plug the website, chuddyscorner.com. Leave us voicemails, leave us comments, listen to the episodes, read the blogs, enjoy yourself out there. So, Chuddy, now, have a good rest of your night.
Peace out, Chuddy heads.